Right, so here we're going to look at 1.3.2 in normalization, and we'll cover reference integrity again, but I did cover it in the last one. So when you're designing a database or creating a database, there's these things called normalization, okay? So let's just go through that. So relational databases hold data in tables, which should also be called relations, okay? I never actually hear anyone calling it that, but we'll pretend that people do. Each item in the tables is called a record. So for example, if we had a relation table called albums, then each album we would add to the table would be a new record, okay? A record would be one album, okay? So if the database on cars, a record would be one cars. So if a relational database is created correctly, a relational database is created correctly, then each record should be only about one topic. So it should be only an album. It shouldn't be like a whole load of stuff. So it should be one thing. So we'll go through that in a second. So our database is going to be, God, my typos are terrible. Our database is going to be about films for the rest of it, okay? So I'm going to show you a database on films. I'm just going to load up the database. You would think I'd had it ready, but I did not. So this is a terrible, badly designed database which has got about films in it, because this isn't just about the film, it's got the actors in it as well that played it. Now, the reason this is bad, for many reasons, but mostly because it can only have one actor in it, which is terrible, or two actors, sorry, the main actor and the second actor, which I should have called support actor maybe, but whatever. And so this is a bad design, and I'm going to go through the process of improving it through the normalization. So normalization is basically the idea of removing any redundant repeating data and improving the database generally, okay? So this is our terrible first design, okay? All that in there. And we need to get it into what's called first normal form. So we're going to normalize the data, right? This is not in first normal form, and I'll explain why. So when we normalize the data, to be in first normal form, it must meet these four rules. It must be single valued attributes, or atomic they're called, because atom, one thing. So here, for example, I have film name, that's fine, but I have main actor name. Now a name is normally surname and forename, so we've got non-single valued attributes there. So therefore this could not be in first normal form whilst we had that there. Rule 2, attribute domain should not change, right? What that means is that the data type and the data in a column should always be one thing and not change. So for example, if I had like children here and then text, I shouldn't have in one of the fields 2 boys, 2 girls, and the next one just a number 4, and in the next one blue-eyed, and the next one's Chris. You know, it should always be of one type of value, one type of data, you know. Anyway, another one, rule 3, is all of the fields here, which they call attributes, by the way, but in actual databases they're called fields, but you know. Anyway, so each field or attribute should have a unique name. Now if you actually design it in Access, you can't not do that. Anyway, if I try to reuse a name, it will not let me when I try and save it. See? So I'm going to go like this and do no. I'll just do second. I don't know why it's not letting me undo it. But anyway, the point is, yeah. So, and the order of data doesn't matter. So what I mean by that, and that can be quite confusing, is that the data that goes in the order here isn't relevant to its actual answer that you want. So for example, if I made a top 10 films, I wouldn't just have the first record be like, oh, best film, this is the best film, I'm going to call it best film ever, right? And then whatever, and then the next, so that's number 1, you know, this is number 2, great, this is number 3, okay, and not good, right? Because if I move that up, and I can by clicking on it and moving the data, that's not letting me now move it. Why is it not letting me move it? If I change that number, I think I can change it. If I actually go here and make this a number, yeah, so if I make that 30 and that 2 and then sort it by that, well, now it's out of order and we don't know which is the best film because we're relying on the film ID or the where it is in the order here. So what we should have had is another one that said rank, and we could add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 and so on and so forth. The order of data shouldn't affect it doesn't matter what order you sort it in, the data should still be the data, right? Which is not the case if I did a top 10 countries and listed them, you know, in order, and then I sorted them by name. Well, then they're out of order, and so we've no way of knowing the top 10 countries. So what I should have had is an extra number that said like rank 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Right, so if I had all these 4 things, this would be in first normal form. So in this case, it would just be an act of doing this, right? Splitting it up, and I did this in my last database video if you're confused, but basically I now don't have any I don't have non-single atomic values. I could have just by splitting that name up here and here, I would have got into this, into first normal form. But anyway, so here's it fixed in a better normal form, right? This is in fixed first normal form, all nicely laid out. There's no forename and surnames here, film ID, actor, you know, all this sort of stuff. Brilliant. So I've split it all up and it's all nicely in. There's no non-single atomic values. Second normal form. Now, I've added a floor in. What I've got here is, and I have to sort of put this floor in because let's say I've got this database, and this is the relationships, and I've got the film grossed amount. Now I've made what's called a composite key here, so these 2 keys are going to be combined to basically be the primary key. So it's called a composite key because each actor can only be in each film once. So if we take the film ID and the actor ID, I think I actually put some data in here. Yes, there we go. So this primary key is kind of 1 1. This one's 1 2. This one's 1 3. You can't. I can't add 1 1 twice. Right? It will say no because they're not unique. Okay. And the film, you've already said that the actor 1's in the film 1. There's no point doing it again. Oh God, I hate databases. So, but we have a problem. To be in second normal form, there can be no partial dependencies. Now, this only matters when there's a composite key. So if you see a composite key in the exam, you're thinking, have they got any partial dependencies? And what that means is that film grossed amount is actually only partially dependent on film ID. It has no relation to the actor at all. So it's dependent on only half of the composite key. Composite keys can be more than 2, they can be 3 or whatever. Generally you don't do that. But so really, film grossed amount shouldn't be here. It should be in the film, because it has nothing to do with this actor film link here. So to fix this, I would go into the film account link and remove that because it shouldn't be there. It should be in the films thing. It might already still be in there. I might have left it. No, I didn't. And then I should have film grossed amount, which is how much it made in before money, but before you pay out. But anyway, it's not worry about that. And now I have fixed that, and then obviously you could put in on whatever money they made. They made a lot of money. There you go, made loads of money. That's quite a lot. And now I have got my database into second normal form, because in first normal form it doesn't have these 4 things, but it also doesn't have any partial dependencies on a composite key, right? So it's in second normal form. Right, so what's third normal form, I hear you say? The mighty normal form is it doesn't have any transitive partial dependencies. So basically no repetitive data. So here, for example, I won't bother loading it up because it's just showing it here. Let's say, for example, that each actor's got a manager. So I've added the manager ID and the manager's name and surname to each actor. Well, you can see here that the manager forename and the manager surname actually are dependent on the manager ID. And so they don't need to be here, and we've got repeated data. So that's what third normal form is. It basically removes any repeated data, but it's called transitive partial dependencies. I know it's a bit tricky to remember all this. It's something, when you do it, you just don't ever think about it. Nearly always you make something proper straight away in third normal form. But to be in third normal form, you can't have that. So if I was to open up film 3, I don't want to change anything, and here we've got, let's look at the relationship, database tools relationships. We have got this manager ID and forename here like this. So what we really should do is create another table called TBL managers, which has manager ID and then a forename and then a surname. Obviously I spell surname wrong every time. Then a surname, which we then fill in with the weird people that we had from before, or their names. Paul Groves and Mary Fredericks. And then we would have on each, was it an actor? Yeah, each actor, they would have, no, not that, it's short text on the other one, but I'll just do number. I think I made them have like, I did, I'll do it properly. Okay, MG11, MG12. So let's go back to managers, change that to short text, go back to there, MG11, manager 12, right, there we go. So now we've got the same thing. So each actor's got a short text manager ID, and then I can actually now, one manager can have many actors, enforce pressure integrity. And there we go. Now I haven't got anything. Now I'm in third normal form. Because I'm in first normal form, because there are no atomic values, there's no non-atomic values. Everything means one thing. They're all named differently. Okay, the data order doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. And I'm in second normal form because, oh no, I'm not, because I've still got that in, which I've just seen. So I should delete that. That shouldn't be there because that's a partial dependent on the film. So film should have, obviously I fixed that on the other one, but obviously this is the third one. I should have not done that. Grossed amount, currency, and then of course we go to till film currency. Let me just delete that. Yeah, there we go. So now I'm in third normal form. Right, so it's been in first normal form. Atomic values, everything means one thing. There's no like composite thing like name. 2, order doesn't matter. 3, the what was the last one? I've named them all different things. And last but not least, they don't change data type at any point. So in the surname thing, I've always got a surname. In the manager thing, I've got rid of partial dependencies to make it in second normal form. So it's in second normal form if there are no partial dependencies. So you're looking for composite keys really when you talk about second normal form. So there's no partial dependencies because nothing's partially dependent on that. I removed it and put it in the right thing. And it's in third normal form because there are no transitive dependencies. So there's not something that's dependent on something that can, basically I can't remove something out like here. You'll notice when there's a not in third normal form because they'll be repeating data normally. Or that depends on something that can come out. Okay, so there you go. It's quite difficult to go through the normal forms. Got to be honest, they are fiddly. You just have to remember them. So referential integrity, just lastly, again, is any time there's a referenced item, there has to be a reference. So for example, if I had that as 101 and then that's 101 and I delete 101, to keep referential integrity I need to delete it, delete this actor. There has to be, to keep referential integrity, there has to be a link to something in there must exist that's in there. They're referential integrity. And if you notice when I do that, it will come up with enforced referential integrity. So cascade update means if I change something in here, it'll update in here, and cascade delete means if I delete something here, it will delete the actor here because there's nothing in it. Okay, that's basically it. Okay, there you go. Thanks.